Hi, I'm Larry Puckett, the DCC guy. Well, today we're going to wrap up this project here, laying tracks, making all the connections, and then we're going to do some local switching just to give you an idea of what it is I've created on this backtrack here. So let's go ahead and make tracks part 2. Hit that little red subscribe button, and when the little bell comes up, click on it and click all. Now, I thought I would start by pointing out or answering a question that I anticipate people are thinking about right now. And the most important one is, why am I laying all of this track back here at ground level instead of on cork road bed or foam road bed or whatever? Well, very good reason for that is that in a lot of these type of industrial areas, the tracks were laid either into the brick pavement or asphalt or concrete or even into dirt sometimes. And so they were very, very close to the actual road surface or the soil surface, whatever. So that's the effect I wanted to get. Also, they were often laid in earlier days with much lighter track, thus the code 70 track as opposed to code 83. So I wanted both of those, and so that's what the effect I'm going for. So I haven't decided yet if I'm going to try to put down brick paving back in here. I might do that for this area through here, and then use just plain old dirt for this area back over here. So we'll have a couple of things we can play with as far as that goes when we get to doing the scenery work. Now, one thing I'll point out, you'll note that I've moved the red brick flat building down a bit. And the reason for that is I wanted to have enough room between the end of the building and the points on the turnout for at least the locomotive switcher and one car. So I'll be able to move cars in and out of the oil dealership without having to pull or push cars at the loading docks out of the way. So that's one thing I've done. Now, I don't anticipate there being a need for more than about 2 or maybe even 3 at the most tank cars on that extension there. So it's not going to be a problem. The other issue, I've decided to actually put the second flat all the way on the adjacent module that will be built and added there. So that way I'll have a much longer track here in front of these flats. At this point, you can see I've taken the flex track all the way out to where it's going to stop there. I've got one tank car sitting on the siding, and of course the other one down here waiting to come in. And then I've got another piece of flex track cut and ready to go all the way to the end of the module down there. So let's go ahead and get those pieces of track laid, soldered in place, and feeders attached to them. Okay, let me get this tank car out of the way. And I drew a line down here so we can go ahead and lay our bead of adhesive. And by the way, I did put a description, at least, from Amazon as far as where I got these little caps for the sealant saver. So if you take a look at the description from last week's video as well as this one, it's in both places. Okay, and we'll run it on down to here and stop right there. Okay, now, once again, we'll put the rail joiners on the ends. Okay, so I've got the rail joiners installed, and we'll put those in place here on the end of the turnout. There we go. Okay, got those in place. Now, we can drop this guy right here where it goes. Then, give it a roll. Okay, so that's that one in place. Okay, now let's finish off with the a line of adhesive. Okay, there we go with that. And now we'll drop this into place. Okay, we got it. Okay, come down here and drop that into place. Okay, now we've got the truck glued down or adhesive applied. Let's go ahead and do the soldering here. Okay, so let's give this a shot. Very simple. I'm just going to put a little bit of solder on the end of the tip there, and that gives you a good heat transfer. And then I'm going to put that down against the rail joiner and heat it up and apply the solder and let it flow down into the joint. Okay, and then we'll come on this side. And let's come down to this one. And we'll work this one. Okay, and we'll get this side. Okay, so it flowed down into the joint there very nicely. So we've got all of the soldering done here. And I've put in a lot of the feeders. But I did leave one set here to show you how that goes. Now, I did cover all of this not long ago in videos 390 and 391. I showed how to do feeders, I showed how to do rail joiners, I showed how to install the DCC power bus under the layout, and how to install a switch machine like this one here. And so I've already done those. I don't feel we need to go over that again. I'll put a link to those videos above me here so you can go back and take a look at the details of how to install feeders, rail joiners, how to solder those all together, how to install the DCC power bus, and install the switch machines. So that's all laid out for you. So what I want to do now is focus down here. I will install this pair of rail feeders here. And then once all that's done, the track work is complete and we should be able to run a locomotive down through here. So that's what we'll do. We'll do some abbreviated switching maneuvers just to show you how this backtrack industrial area is going to work. Okay, let me zoom in now. Okay, so here we are. You'll note that I've put a little dog leg here. This is something I always do when I'm installing feeders either to the sides of the rails or to the underside of the rails. And the reason for that is it gives you a nice extended area to solder to. And so I'm going to pull this black wire down and get it down in here. I'm going to solder these below the level of the rails. So basically almost to the bottom of the rails. Okay, I've got my soldering iron good and hot. I'm going to wet the tip with some solder. And again, that is just to give you a good heat transfer there. And also we want to apply solder to the wire here. And there's already solder underneath there from when I did the rail joiners themselves. So I'm going to pull this down in here and get it just down below the level of the truck, and then touch it. One of the things I really like about these micro-engineering ties is they're not as sensitive to heat as a lot of other ties are. So I don't know what the material they use is, but it does a very good job. Okay, we got that spread out. Now, you'll note the side of these rails are painted. This one is not. I'll have to paint it later, and we'll do that. And also, all of these solder joints are going to have to be painted. And I'll just come back later on with a micro brush and do that. Okay, let's get this red one done. There we go. And pull that one down in here just like the first one. And Get that heated up real well so we get a good solder joint on that feeder. Okay, that's good and tight. I'm tugging on that as hard as I can, and it's not moving. Okay, so that's it. We've got everything taken care of here. Let's fire up the DCC system, and we'll do some switching down in here, just like we'll be doing once I install all of the other buildings and the like. Okay, we've got a switcher here set up with an interstate fuel and oil tank car. We're going to be delivering it back here to this back truck, which is where the interstate fuel facility will be located. So we're going to do that. We're also going to pick up that red mobile gas tank car in the process. So let's run on down the tracks and see what we can do. So this is going to be something of a switching puzzle for anyone doing this job, because you're going to have to move cars in and out of that reverse siding there. Okay, as soon as that car has cleared the points, right about there, then I can throw that turnout. And we'll run in and grab that mobile gas tank. Okay, we can pull him out of there now that we successfully connected to him. Okay, there. Throw the turnout points again. And we're going to push that tank car back up the hill. And stop right there. And then we can come back down to right there. Throw the points again. And then run the interstate car back in onto that interstate industry lead. And then the locomotive can come back. And come back up. Now, of course, this is all going to be complicated if you've got a whole set of boxcars in front of the industry that's going to be there. But we'll work around that. That makes it more interesting, doesn't it? Come on back up the grade here. And And there he is. So that's about how that's going to work, except there will be a lot more cars to deliver and pick up, and there will be a lot of other cars in the way that are going to have to be moved in the process. And once we get this layout done to the point where I can show you, I'll show you how we're going to do operations here with all of these industries. So that's something to look forward to down the road. In the meantime, that's about it for today. I hope you've picked up a few more tips on how to go about installing industrial spur tracks like these, and are ready to start working on your model railroad to add a lot more trucks for better operations. Now, before we wrap this up, there's one thing I want to touch on, and that's the liquid nails for projects that I've been using for years now on my model railroads. Now, recently, a viewer contacted me to tell me that he had had trouble finding it. So I think he had contacted Liquid Nails about it, and they actually told him they now recommend a different product for use with foam board. And that is a specific product. It looks like this, but it's blue, and I'll show you here a screen capture in just a second of that. And it's LN-604. This is LN-704. And I went ahead and checked on the specifications for this LN-704. And it still says that it is suitable for use with foam board. So I'm going to stick with this one. I'll tell you why. This one sells for $2.99 at Lowe's. The other one sells for $6.99 at Ace Hardware. And that's the only place I could find it around here near me. So, and the other fellow who contacted me, he had to special order a whole case of it in order to get it, because apparently it's so new that nobody is carrying it yet. But it is LN-604 for foam board specifically, whereas this one is just good old projects. But I've never had any problem with it, and if it's going to sell for less than half of what the new stuff sells for, this is the one I'm going to be buying. So that's it for this week. I should be back next week, hopefully, all things well, but can't guarantee that. In the meantime, you have a great weekend and a great week, and I'll see you here again soon with another video from the DCC Guy. Bye now.